So why is back one the go-to? Again, as I mentioned before, it moves really far, and you can pair it up with forward 3. So allow me to demonstrate a situation for it. Welcome to Open Hwoarang Lessons. Again, we're gone from Okizeme. it is done. And today we'll be talking about panic moves. So again, panic moves, when those come to mind, stuff like Paul forward 1+4, Claudio hop kick, etc. The list could go on of list of panic moves that are really good. Hwoarang's case, it's back one. The whip, or whatever you want to call it. This is Beck's move that he inherited. This used to knock down on counter hit. However, they nerfed it in Season 3, I believe, to remove the knockdown property, because when it's still counter hit launched. I say counter hit launched for when you had the wall towards the side, you could pick up with down back 4 and combo, have a full launcher essentially. But now you don't. So you still reap the benefits of it avoiding by stepping towards the right by a lot. And you could also pair that up with forward 3, so the amount of evasion you'd have is significantly big. If you see how far he goes, he's already at the rear end side of Hwoarang, while here he isn't. So back one. Let's talk a lot about back one. So this move is -14 on block. That has never changed ever since it came in. So which means this move is it has a lot of danger to it. Just like that. You're gonna eat a 14 frame launcher. So again, not a 14 frame launcher, but again a 14 frame punish, and 14 frame punishes are huge. So again, if an opponent has a 14 frame launcher, namely characters like Law or the Mishimas, you're in a heap of trouble. Or if they have huge follow-up potential like Josie's forward 1+2. So why is back one the go-to? Again, as I mentioned before, it moves really far, and you can pair it up with forward 3. So allow me to demonstrate a situation for it, where we have Hwoarang here do the classic Flamingo 1 to forward 1+2. And as Hwoarang, while this mix-up is very strong, you could literally just avoid the whole mix-up by pressing back 1. You will avoid the +5 forward 1+2 that supposedly tracks at that moment. And even if, let's say, you get hit by the Flamingo jab, never mind. There's a limit to how much you could panic. But then again, a lot of these situations would end up on block, and you could get away for free. Now, of course, this is also an OS versus certain characters in the game, like Mr. Geese Howard over here. When we go over his QCB2 mix-ups, you could use back 1 or forward 3. Of course, we'll talk about forward 3 later as a panic option, but we'll focus more on back 1, the mix-up, his infamous 50-50 mix-up. So if you get the right read on it, you could easily just press back 1 and you're on your way. So basically, if you see that he's going to do it, you could also do it really late. Like you could legitimately just react with this. You see how long I'm actually taking to press the button in reaction to the leg? Of course, naturally, again, this is a practice mode situation. So of course, when you go into real game, it's going to be a little bit different if you can recognize it or not, if you have enough, like, let's say, Geese matchup experience. So the only issue with back 1 is that it becomes like a get out of jail free card, because a lot of Hwoarangs tend to rely on this when, let's say, they're getting pressured a lot. Let's say Hwoarang's pressuring you like so, and let's say you can get out of a situation like that, the Flamingo +5 on block, and you just press back 1. So of course, if the opponent knows that, they could literally bait you into just blocking it and get a really strong 14 frame punish. Or they could use a homing move, or a move that tracks completely towards that side, like let's say DF4, to just stomp you in your tracks easily. So that's like one of it's like a move a lot of Hwoarangs love to use and get punished for a lot. So again, it's again like being saved by live and die by back 1. So that's the first panic move we're gonna cover. The second panic move is back 2. Now this move also got nerfed, because in Tag 2 this used to previously counter hit launch, and you would sidestep right into down back 4 2. If it had happened in Tekken 7 that it didn't get nerfed, you would sidestep right into Peacekeeper most likely, and that would do a ton of damage for sure. So if back 1 steps towards the right, back 2 is the option that you use against strings or situations where you step towards the left. And of course, this is also a 13 frame punish. This is one of Hwoarang's 13 frame punches. So again, if the opponent's really close to the wall and you don't want to use, let's say, your 13 frame punish, which is DF1, DF1 plus 2, or DF1 3, and you want to get that wall splat, because 4-3 and 4F4 don't offer that, you could press back 2, and if their back's really close to the wall, they're gonna get wall splat, and then you could do a side wall combo to resplat, and it's gonna give you big damage, and of course good Oki on the side as well. That's the beauty of the cheese. The only issue with this is that back 2 isn't as evasive compared to back 1. If you notice how far back 1 goes, you're way off. Here, you're still kind of aligned towards your opponent. So the amount of space Hwoarang takes to avoid a move is completely different. And you can't do back 2 in Flamingo, either Flamingo. The advantage of back 1 is that you could do it from forward 3. So if you panicked with forward 3, you could just press back 1 to increase the amount of space. But if, let's say, you wanted to press back 2 in Flamingo, you can't. They have not added that to Hwoarang, which I kind of wish they do in the future. Up back 4, this is a slight low crushing panic move where you just jump backwards and you're plus 10. However, this is a plus 10 you cannot use. Why is this a plus 10 you cannot use? Because even if they get hit, right, we'll ask Geese over here to step towards the left. So we'll reset, do back, and if I do Peacekeeper to follow up or any other option that would supposedly catch them in their tracks, yeah, you're not going to be catching them stepping towards that side. Even FF3 is a little bit short. You probably have to add an additional forward, and that'll put a good number of risks towards you because that's eating up frames and they can interrupt you. So that's just sidestep left. Let me show you sidestep right, just for good measure. That plus 10 is not going to be used. However, this string is super good as an OS, similar to back 1. So if back 1 could avoid situations like Geese's, QCB2, and other situations like Paul FF2, and back 2 has some situations like that as well. Very small compared to back 1. Back 1 has the most OS situations. And then everything else is purely situational, or there's very few situations where that move would beat all the other options of your opponent. So up back 4 is the best option you could run for versus Kunimitsu DF3 into full crouch mix-up. So we all know what this is. They cancel and then they do the full crouch mix-ups, right? So whether that be FC DF3 or a while standing 3, typically most of the time. That up back 4 evades this completely. You will not get punished for this, for doing this, and because again, you have enough frames to cover around. And if we go here against where they do while standing 4, they're gonna get counter hit, and that's gonna be damage for you, and that's great. That's great damage. You take 21 damage, even if that's plus 10 that you can't use. It's awesome enough to get that damage and to prevent her from doing a mix-up. The only time you'll lose in this particular situation is when they do DF3 and just wait for you. See, they could block. Now, of course, in that situation, I didn't get the recording right, but they could just literally hold back and then do another move to punish Hwoarang for doing up back 4. So that's the only risk you run, but that's like one option versus everything else. That's great. That's what the perfect part about up back 4. The only issue is that you can't use these frames at all. So it's literally a get me out of here card. That jumping backwards. So again, back 1 stepping towards the right, back 2 is for the left, and then up back 4 is for going all the way back. That's 3 out of the 6 panic moves I wanted to talk about. Let's move on to the 4th. The 4th is forward 3. Now, of course, just like back 1, let me bring you a situation. So the same thing in the QCB2 situation. I did not show, like, what do you call that? Forward 3. But just to show you real quick. Whoops. QCB2. QCB2 3. Perfect. That's the whole point of it. And there's a bunch of strings. Hwoarang can forward 3, just like Dragunov while standing 4 situation. Not while standing 4 situation, down 2 situation. But of course, that was easier to do in Season 3 because down 2 did not force crouch. Now in Season 4, it goes back to force crouch, so it's a little bit more difficult to get. Down jabs need no explanation. This is the 5th one I want to talk about. This is simply your high crushing move to prevent your opponent from, well, pressuring you. What else can I say? It's reliable. The only issue is it's a special mid. So at special mids, these can all get low parried. So if we ask Geese here to do a down jab after a jab, all we gotta do is low parry and it'll be the end of him. So it's the same thing with Hwoarang. If you press a down jab, be prepared that you could get low parried or low crushed. Because as a special mid, let's have Geese do it again. It low crushes. All right. And the last one, I already showed it, Orbital. Now, I don't really advocate for this move because its hitbox isn't as great. However, it is an Orbital nonetheless. So if you have a read on a opponent who's going to do a low move that you could crush with the Orbital, you might as well go for it and reap the benefits. So I believe a BNB damage combo here would give you around roughly 60 damage, which is pretty good. So again, to recap all the Hwoarang panic moves. Back 1 for sidestepping right, and it's a big go-to if you're really in danger. Back 2 for stepping left. Again, this is a high, this is a mid. Up back 4, a mid that you can't use your frames on. However, you do get out of certain situations, which is great. Forward 3, again, you're very vulnerable in Flamingo. However, you could pair that up with back 1 or a low crushing option or a power crush just to be safe. Whatever works for that's the situation you're in. The old reliable down jabs when your opponent's up in your face. And then, of course, low crushing moves like up 3+4 or... So again, that was the cheese for today. Panic moves. People like to get out of offense a lot. You gotta watch out for them. And as Hwoarang, being one of the kings of offense, you have to also be able to get out of offense. So keep these panic moves in mind. So I've been Frontier, and thank you for watching. It's just an obvious thing for him. That's okay, we'll see. Are you that type of guy? That's all I care about. I don't mind losing to spam. I just want to know if you're willing to spam. Get up wrong. Oh wow, that's a fairy tale ending. You can't make that up. You really can't make that up. You have to see it to believe it.